It's good to be able to drink hot tea again. So hello! On this channel we talk about independent spirituality and folk magic for free spirits. My name is Aster, and in today's video I'm gonna simply take you with me in a day in my life, I guess. We are currently in October. Today is the 20th of October. Everything is like yellowish, orangey outside. Fall vibes are all over the place, and fall is my favorite season. But most importantly, today is Friday, and Friday is currently the day that I dedicate to my spiritual team. It is the day that I venerate the entities that accompany me, entities that in Brazilian culture are known as Pombagira and rascals, malandros. I do plan on making a video exclusively talking about that in detail, how I came to know my entities, the entire process and everything. But today I'm just gonna take you out to grab some roses, because that's what my girls like, and also a few items at the supermarket. Probably we're gonna be discussing a little bit about offerings, like my personal take on offerings and what's my criteria for food offerings. Maybe I will also read a little bit, maybe embroider a little bit, because I am super behind schedule with my grimoire makeover. My grimoire is right here. Just a boring binder that I got at the supermarket, as a matter of fact. And there's some lo-fi. Do you like lo-fi? Tell me in the comments. So I started this big embroidery project for my grimoire, and I really have to work on it. Yeah, that's the struggle of the Gemini. We want to do everything at the same time, and then we don't finish anything. And last minute, I decided to take you with me on a visit to a pet cemetery. I had a great time, so make sure to stick around all the way to the end to take a look at how exactly is a pet cemetery. So yeah, let's go. For a small place, there's a lot of people out today. That makes me feel uncomfortable. You know why I get uncomfortable? Because people stare at me. Because I'm filming. Anyway, I'm gonna go to the supermarket and the flower shop. I am going to look for red peppers, maybe chili peppers, maybe some little jars, little plates for offerings, because I am really needing that. So that's why there's an awful lot of people on the street. It's market day.
C'est atypique.
Oh, elle est très belle. I arrived home and my grimoire fell on the ground. So I'm gonna sit here and organize it back together while I talk to you for a second. You might be wondering why or how this happened. It happened because I got something in the mail. I got this little thingy here that I'm gonna use for tarot readings. And as I was spreading the thing on the table to take a look at it, I knocked my grimoire over. But okay, it was my mistake. I will talk to you a little bit about cowrie shells. Cowrie shells have been on my mind a lot lately because they are the divination method of Brazilian culture. I don't know exactly what the indigenous tribes used for divination purposes, but the African heritage that we have in Brazil left us the cowrie shell divination. And like 1 year ago or so, I became interested in learning cowrie shell divination. I even got a book back then about it, but I felt very conflicted about that method because once I translated the word for cowrie shell in Portuguese, I discovered that they were shells from sea creatures. In Portuguese, that's called búzios. That doesn't mean anything, really. So I didn't know they were shells, as a matter of fact. I thought they were something like Job's tears, you know, that is hard, but comes from a plant. Turns out it's a shell. When I discovered it was shells, I decided to not learn the system and leave it be. What has changed? I had a consultation with a high priest the other day to discover a little bit more about my spirituality, my personal heritage and everything. During that consultation, I was told that I should learn to read the shells. And why is this a big deal for me? Because I'm vegan. I even have a video here on the channel talking about the use of animal parts in magical practices. At the same time that, okay, I am vegan, I'm not gonna use the cowrie shells, okay, I will leave it entirely out of my practice, I still felt sorry for it because I wanted to include cowrie shells in my practice. You know, like I have mentioned on that video about veganism and the use of animal parts in magic, you can substitute things, you can, and have similar results, but it's not gonna be the same thing. Like when I mentioned honey in that video, you can substitute honey for other things, but the process through which honey comes to be has a specific energy that cannot be replaced. And the same thing applies to cowrie shells. So I don't know if that will mean that I will not be vegan anymore for some people's standards. I felt like I was given a mission. You know, when the high priest told me,
you should learn how to read the shells,
it was like I was given a quest. Learning to read the cowrie shells for me feels almost like bringing tradition back to life. Because today, nobody in my family reads the shells. Nobody. Do you understand how deeply that has been erased from my family? This is very symbolic. This is a millennial divination system. It's not like I can substitute it for rocks or whatever. I thought about it, but it would be just stupid and ridiculous if I would try to substitute the shells for something else. I don't know. I really don't know what to make of it, but what I do know is that I couldn't say no to learning the cowrie shells. And it's interesting also because we have to trust our intuition, what our gut is telling us to do. Because all of a sudden, like last year, I was interested in learning cowrie shells out of nowhere. And then 1 year later, I'm told that you should learn how to read it because Your ancestor who is taking care of you used to read them. You should pick it up. So it's funny that we often seek for validation for the things that we are experiencing or feeling or thinking, but at the end of the day, we already know what to do. It's okay to ask for help, but you already know what you have to do. Just trust it and go for it. So I will be waiting for people to cancel me in the comments, because first I make a video about being a vegan practitioner and then I'm gonna use shells. Well, you know what? I'm not here to be perfect. I'm here to be human, and that's what humans do. They change their mind, they stand corrected, and they have to make choices that aren't logical sometimes. That's what being human means. And if some people could, I don't know, get disappointed at me, well, at the end of the day, it's my practice. And even though I am sharing it on the internet, only I know the meaning that this has for me. So there you go. I am going to learn how to read the shells. As a matter of fact, I have already started. I am taking courses and reading a lot of material about it. I already grasped how to read with 4 cowrie shells. Now I'm getting into the 16 system. I am happy about it. Now, I need to prepare the roses to put them in a little jar on my altar. Also, I need to clean and cleanse the little bowls that I got from the supermarket. Yeah, so let's continue. Let's talk a little bit about food offerings, shall we? Last time I shared a veneration process here on the channel, it was about corn cobs. That's what I offered. And this time around, I am going to make mashed potatoes. I have these potatoes that are starting to look not that fresh anymore. And I need to finish them for good with some onions on top of it. But the point is not what I'm gonna make exactly. I just wanted to mention that whenever you are going to make food offerings for your ancestors, spiritual team, what have you, take into account the time period in which that spirit was alive, because that matters a lot. It wouldn't make any sense to offer, I don't know, donuts to somebody who was alive 200 years ago. That would be kind of inappropriate. And I don't mean to judge anybody else's practice, but I have seen some interesting choices for food offerings. And I just want to say, yeah, keep in mind the time period in which that spirit was alive. And also, simplicity is gold. Keep it simple. Do something simple. A candy from back in the day, some simple cake recipe, or maybe a traditional dish from your culture that people have been making for hundreds of years. Those little ancient recipes will really hit a sweet spot. So it's not about being very elaborate or inventing things out of the curve to offer to your ancestors. The point is thinking about the time period in which they were alive and preparing the dish with your own hands, putting your love and care into it as you go, and also sit down and eat with them. So these mashed potatoes with onions on top of it, we are going to share that meal. My spiritual team and I, we are going to sit down, chat, and eat some potatoes. Quem viu a lua brilhar, quem viu o espinho da rosa, também vai ver Maria Padilha chegar. Quem viu? Padilha, mulher encantada, rainha da encruzilhada, senhora da magia. I have just finished my veneration process. I have the candles and the offerings. Something interesting that happens every time that I perform my little rituals is that I feel a lot of, let me check that word. I feel shivers on my shins. So I feel those shivers not only on my shins, also there's a lot of activity on my head and light shivers all over the body. According to what I have learned, that is a positive sign of the entity being present. Every time I do my little thing for them, I really feel happy. I feel sometimes emotional. You know, I can't really explain. It's just a type of, I don't know, a feeling of joy and love even. So it's something that makes me very happy. I have to show you guys my methods for communicating with entities. I'm gonna do that in another video because I don't want this one to be too big. I'm gonna let the candles burn down. I had a very good time eating mashed potatoes and, you know, gossiping. I have to mention that there is a typical, I would call it votive food that is usually served to the entities that I am venerating. It's called pade. It's made out of manioc flour and palm oil. It is really very tasty. You know, there is this dish in Brazilian culture that we call farofa. So that's basically it. It's a farofa, but made with palm oil, a lot of onions, sometimes peppers. That's why I was looking for peppers today. When you are making food offerings, I think it's a very nice personal touch to, you know, choose what you are going to serve them. Also, the entities, of course, they will let you know what they like, what they don't like, what they would like. I have tried offering pade in the past, and I don't know, it felt like something was missing. So I decided to go ahead and get a little bit more personal and make things that I would normally eat. I think that makes a lot of difference. Now, I am going to give myself like half an hour to continue this book that I'm reading. Let me see, I am on page 40 currently. I'm gonna take some time right now to just enjoy this book while listening to some more lo-fi. After reading, I took some time to embroider because, as I said at the beginning of the video, my embroidery project for my grimoire is really behind schedule. I am embroidering this piece of black velvet with an animal of the Brazilian fauna. I have chosen an animal that is called onça pintada. I think that in English it is probably called jaguar, but I have decided that it is going to be called polka dot panther, okay? That's a much better name. And I chose this animal because it is the biggest feline of the Americas and the third of the world, only behind tigers and lions. And unfortunately, it is an animal that could go extinct thanks to illegal hunting and deforestation in Brazilian nature. The polka dot panther is a majestic creature of my home country and so beautiful. I'm sure I couldn't have made a better choice to illustrate the cover of my grimoire. Last but not least, I decided to allow myself to do something that I wanted to do for a long time already, which is to visit a pet cemetery. I saw that there was this pet cemetery at this town called Errands, and it's quite far away from my house, so I was postponing going there, but you know what? As I always say, life is short. We gotta do the things that we wanna do. So I took the day off and went there. The graves. My goodness, the graves are so tiny. I'm gonna cry. My God, this is so cute. My goodness, I can't handle it. This is the best cemetery ever. It is so cute, it's so beautiful. This statue here with the dog and all the flowers, my God, this is stunning. My God. I had to sit down for a minute because I really can't handle this place. I just feel a lot of love, you know. If you look at these little graves, they're all so cute with little statues and the names of the animals. You can feel the love just oozing out of the entire place. It's just so wholesome. I think that the pets buried in here were much more loved than many of the human beings I've seen, whose graves I've seen in regular cemeteries. You know, you can definitely feel the love. It's just so cute. It's